Okay. My reunion voice is sort of setting in, so I'm glad this was today as opposed to tomorrow. Two quick things to start. Most of what I will say, what I've done, and there are classmates and friends here who have been involved in the same things that I'm about to mention, most of it stems from the inspiration of guys in 55, Project 55. So I would like to have us applaud them. There are a couple of and secondly, the takeaway here, as far as I would recommend to you, is not about what I have done, but maybe to go over some examples of what's doable. Because in looking back on the things that we have achieved, that we achieved when I was on the board of 55, it's amazing to me how successful these things have been on one hand, and how they've lasted, and how they prospered, and how, particularly since I think 55 had a sense of sending out some ripples that would impact and inspire other people, and I have seen that happen. And privileged to have been part of that. So this started with a number of years ago. I guess Peter and Chet and some of your other colleagues came and spoke at one of our class of '69 reunions dinners, and essentially said, we started something here and we'd like to identify a younger class to help to support us, join us, and carry the torch. Many people have asked me, why'd you choose 69? I always thought for a long time that we were a fairly undistinguished class. Beginning with losing both Cainsbury's, no t-shirts at all. But the reality is that a group of people began a discussion within our class that resulted in the initiation of our Community Services Fund. And again, a number of those people were here at the time when we started doing that. That program, are we close to 15 years? 15 years later, has been a total success. And we're all very proud of that. And we used some of the techniques that Project 55 kind of brought to our minds. We have involved spouses on our board and in our activities. We have involved former interns on our board, and as mentors, part of our program is to have students doing summer internships around the country and around various parts of the world. And we always have had a classmate mentor, and now we have former interns who are serving as mentors, and it continues to grow the program in ways that have been very rewarding for us. The most rewarding thing is to see the students and meet them when we're interviewing, and to have them come back in the fall for a fall reception and tell us how their experiences have positively impacted their lives and sometimes their career decisions. And that inspires us to keep going on. At one point, about 11 years ago, Princeton in Asia was celebrating its 100th anniversary, and some of us realized there'd never been a Princeton anyplace else. And that didn't seem to make sense to us because we knew that the student body had a great interest in spending time in other places. So a coalescing of people, some staff, some alumni, some faculty members, decided to begin a Princeton-in-Africa. We started with nothing. We started with a tin cup and a lot of energy and a lot of ideas and enthusiasm. Our first two interns were in the summer, and we financed them in the class of '69 to do this for Princeton-in-Africa. George Ritz has been our more recent president. Frank Strasburger, who a number of you probably know, was our initial president. And I think that we are now, with this group we have just selected, probably up to around 200 people, 200 year-long fellows that we have supported in at least 27 countries in Africa. We have done it essentially on our own fundraising. We have some very energetic and creative fundraising folks with us. As I said before, the student interest is definitely there. We essentially cater to new graduates of Princeton and some people who have been out for a few years, who somehow hear about the placements and want to come back and do this kind of work. We have had a number of our fellows go back to Africa, stay in Africa, go back to the program where they had worked as a fellow. And even one of our alumni, Oliver Barry, even though he's in Yale Med School now, started his own foundation to support the program where he had worked. So these kinds of amazing things feed back to us in ways that remain encouraging for us. The last piece is that the Alumni Council Committee on Community Service, which has had its sort of ups and downs in terms of accomplishment. Mark Miller, our classmate, is the current chair of that. One of the functions we see for that committee is to support classes and regional organizations in any kinds of community service, and loosely speaking, activities that they are interested in developing. Sometimes they're one-off kinds of activities, reunions-based activities. Sometimes they're longer-standing programs, like in Chicago, or in Chicago schools, which a number of 55 Chicagoans have been very involved with. We have the Alumni Council Award for service that we give at each reunions. And a couple of things that I would like to see get some more interest and development is that we know that there are classes or regional organizations that may not have an infrastructure, may not have the financing, may not have the desire beyond a core group of people to develop a full-fledged program such as the kind that I've referenced so far. But there may be ways that they can adopt programs in ways that make sense, that are already existing, that need additional support. One of the examples of the ripples that I was talking about is one of our community service fund's first and best interns that we have, Richard Just, who was the class of '01, began a program called the Summer Journalism Program, Princeton Summer Journalism Program. And pay attention to it if you don't already know it, because Richard and I guess 5 of his colleagues who were on the Prince, the brief story is, and I think I'm reaching my 5 minutes here, so we wrap it up with this, who were on the Prince, had a sense that they were writing stories about race on campus, race issues on campus, and they looked around at the members of the Prince and said, well, we don't have anybody of any racial diversity here on the Prince. How do we change that? They initiated a program whereby they invited high school students who were interested in journalism to come here to the campus for, it was initially, I think, 3 to 4 days. I understand it's now going to be 10 days, to have an immersion in many aspects of journalistic procedures and practices. They have a number of faculty come and speak to them. John McPhee comes to speak to them. Melvin McCrae, who has worked for ABC, is recently retired, takes them and tours them at ABC. And that has resulted in a number of their kids going on to colleges, better colleges perhaps than they might otherwise have gone, or might otherwise have considered, because they see the possibilities when they come to Princeton and spend time on campus. And I would like to think that one of the things that Richard saw in the 69 Community Services Fund was the possibility of doing things and being able to start things. And we have been totally supportive of him. We provide an intern. 69 provides interns for his summer program. And there are other things that have stemmed, and for me, again, it comes back to Project 55, and I thank you, and you have enhanced my life.